And we welcome you back to Big Board Sports on this Tuesday morning, a couple of days removed from Super Bowl 52, but it is still very much in the forefront. We welcome Greg Bishop, Sports Illustrated Monday morning quarterback, and maybe most important of all, Syracuse grad, to our show. And we thank you, Greg, for a few minutes. Let's start with overall impressions of the Super Bowl. Maybe not great, but highly entertaining. How about that?
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. You know, I thought that the game was entertaining. I thought there were a lot of things going on, but, one thing it definitely was, it was boring. There were, a lot of long, explosive plays. There was some great touchdown throws. There was Tom Brady dueling with Nick Foles, and these great storylines for both teams. So, to me, the game itself was pretty interesting, but I think I would stop short of calling it great or classic or any of those things for the reasons you just mentioned. One, there wasn't a lot of defense, and two, the quality of play wasn't necessarily worthy of a classic.
Greg, from your experience of being around both teams all week, did you start becoming a believer in Philadelphia, or was there some surprise when the confetti was falling and it was Philadelphia celebrating and not New England?
Yeah, I think anytime the Patriots don't win, you have to be a little bit surprised. But I felt like people had been sleeping on Philly in a way that was a little bit disrespectful. When Carson Wentz went down, I think we sort of forget that, Philadelphia has a great defensive line. They have a great offensive line. They spent a lot of money this offseason to go get players like Alshon Jeffrey. They have a GM in Howie Roseman who's continually updating and reconfiguring the roster. And I think you could pretty easily make the case that they're the deepest team in football. And so while I wouldn't bet against Brady and bet on Nick Foles, I think going into the game, you thought that they had a chance to win. And then when Foles plays the way he did, 350 yards, 370 yards, 3 touchdown passes, the touchdown catch, I just think that, that tips the balance in favor in Philadelphia, and that's what we saw on Sunday night.
We're joined by Greg Bishop, Sports Illustrated Monday morning quarterback. He'll have the cover story of the Super Bowl, and you can find him on Twitter at Greg Bishop SI. Greg, what do the Eagles do here with Nick Foles? That seems to be kind of the question of the offseason. I know we've got a ton of moving pieces potentially at the quarterback position, but one of the most intriguing has to be the Super Bowl MVP with Carson Wentz presumably healthy by the start of next year. What do you think the Eagles do?
I think it'll be an interesting situation to watch, and I agree with what you just said, that I think that this will be as much quarterback movement as interesting a quarterback offseason as we've had in a long time when you look at who might be going where. If I'm Nick Foles, I probably want to land with a different team. I'd prefer to be traded, prefer to capitalize on this moment that he had. Obviously had a great end of the season, played incredibly in a couple playoff games. His value is probably never going to be higher. If I'm the Eagles, I'm looking at it like, they have always prioritized quarterback depth. They really care about having a lot of guys in that room that are good. And I believe they have him under contract for one more season. So if I'm the Eagles, I'm sort of looking at it like I want to see if Carson Wentz is healthy in particular. I want to see if he's healthy in September. And then I have a good problem if he's healthy and Foles is healthy, because I have 2 quarterbacks who have proven that they can win in the league, and one quarterback that's proven, this weekend that he could win the Super Bowl.
Greg, what about the other side? The Patriots have been the most consistent franchise in the 21st century. What is the future of this team as it retools its coaching staff with Matt Patricia and Josh McDaniels?
I think it's uncertain. Josh McDaniels is expected to announce that he's leaving on Wednesday. I believe he'll end up taking a couple coaches with him, including, Ivan Pierce, who's one of Belichick's favorite guys. You might see Dante Scarnecchia, a longtime confidant of Belichick, retire. Then you have the fact that Matt Patricia is leaving and that Brady's going to be 41 next season, and that Belichick is still the second oldest coach in the NFL. And I think what we're looking at, and what we really saw during the week of the Super Bowl, is that this is a dynasty that's, if not over, closer to the end. They may all be together next season. Then everyone may be back the year after that. But what you're seeing is Belichick losing his coaching confidants, Brady getting older every year. And I just think that this era that we've seen when they've had so much unprecedented success, I don't think there's a lot of time left there.
Sports Illustrated's Greg Bishop with us here, mmqb.com as well, and again on Twitter at Greg Bishop SI. Greg, I know you've been immersed in the Super Bowl coverage for the last 9-10 days, but I do want to get your thoughts on what you think might happen. I'm not going to ask you ahead to the draft, but Jets listeners will want to know, boy, what are we going to do at quarterback? The Giants certainly could draft somebody at number 2. Does New York take somebody, the Jets, that being at number 6, or is Kirk Cousins a guy they should look at? We talked about the intriguing situation with Nick Foles. We're hearing reports that the Redskins are entertaining the idea of franchise tagging Kirk Cousins so they could then trade him since trading for Alex Smith. How do you think the Cousins-Redskins situation plays out, and is he a good fit with the Jets?
Yeah, I did a Cousins piece a couple of months ago. I really thought he was a smart guy who's very prepared and really puts a lot into just, playing football. I think he'd fit well with the Jets. They could use a few more players maybe for him to throw to, but to me the most sense would be for them to go get him and then reconfigure around him if possible. I think that Cousins has the brain and the mindset and sort of wherewithal to handle the craziness in New York. I think the hardest thing for him looking at that situation would just be, the Jets have a lot of holes, and they're going to have to work to fill them. If I'm the Giants and I'm picking 2, I like Saquon Barkley a lot. I think he's a transformative runner. Personnel people I talk to are saying he's the best back coming out of the draft since Adrian Peterson. And I think that, if you put him together with some of their young receivers, obviously Odell Beckham Jr. coming back from the injury, I think that could be a really explosive offense. So that would be something that I think would make sense there.
And I still like the Saquon Barkley to the Giants, but probably not going to happen. Thank you, Greg. We appreciate a few minutes here on Big Board Sports 104.5 The Team, ESPN Radio.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.